Well, welcome to SEIU and our community. We're a group of workers and community that are working hard to make sure that we have elected officials that represent our communities and our interests. We have the privilege of having the president of FPSU in Alfonso Mayfield, who will be co-moderating the session with us, and he will also do the framing. Mr. Mayfield.
We're in a crisis situation, nationally, but that plays out on the local level, and there are key indicators in our community. We need leaders who are going to be firmly cemented in the voice of our community, and even though there's a lot of buck passing that happens that basically says, I only represent this particular segment, whether it be Congress, whether it be State House, whether it be State Senate, so I only have this purview. But that's not what a leader does. Electeds have to be leaders in their community. And so there's a connection with not only workers who work in that community, but also people who may not work or people who live there, people who are retired. So I'm really going to start with just a framing question of who we are. The first framing question is, as a leader, as a person who wishes to be elected, what are you going to do to ensure that more workers have the ability to collectively bargain? So the first thing is, what are you going to do as a leader after your opening statements to ensure that more workers have the opportunity to be able to join the movement? The second part is, what are you going to do to ensure that the voices of people who live here and their agency shows up in the work that you do in the house?
My name is Peyton MacArthur, and I'm currently a senior aide to County Commissioner Paulette Burdick. On these issues on encouraging collective bargaining, I think the first thing we need to do is to stop the privatization. I was at the County Commission when they privatized the janitors and when they privatized the carpenters. And I'll tell you, I went in to meet with one commissioner who I won't mention, but I took a piece of paper and made a bar graph. I said, Commissioner, this is how much it costs for that service, for the janitorial service. I said, this company is going to save us this much. They're going to still make a profit that much. Where is that money coming from? It's coming from the benefits, retirement, and health care of those workers. So I think the first thing we have to do is stop privatization. The county is a very pro-union employer. We have never had policies to oppose unionization. We have good relations with Rick Paulette at CWA. We have good relations with the American Transit Authority. So I think the county actually is in a very good position for that. And as far as benefiting those people, I think if you look at the policies, we have to stop kowtowing to the developers and to the influence peddlers. And if we have policies which help the middle class, it will help our workers.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Sharps. Good to see you all this morning. I worked for the county for 6 years in water utilities. I was able to successfully manage and get a little over $100 million in grants for infrastructure projects. I'm running because I want to make sure that we do better, because we can do better, especially for the citizens. My brother is Executive Vice President for AFL-CIO for the Southeastern states, and he's been working for the union since he was in high school. So I've been a union baby, because I'm the baby, and he took me everywhere. So I agree with my fellow comrade here, opponent. Privatization has to stop. That's all there is to it. And there has to be encouragement. If I am an employee and I want to join a union, I should not be ostracized or told that I can't do that.
Good morning. I'm Greg Weiss, and I'm running for County Commission District 2. And my background is in information technology, and I've lived in District 2 for almost 15 years. I'm running because I want to make a difference in the people's lives that live in our community and live in District 2. I think we have an opportunity to improve the quality of life, but we also have some issues we're going to need to be addressing relatively soon to make sure that this community is a livable place. We have a crisis in affordable housing, And people who have service jobs, people in healthcare and so forth, they can't afford to live in Palm Beach County anymore. We have an issue with our water and our environment. We have sea level rise, we're running out of fresh water. And so those are things that I want to bring to the county commission. I also have deep concerns about job loss due to technology and automation. And those jobs that are going to be lost, due to that, we're going to need to have training programs and retraining programs to help people move into new occupations and maybe even new careers. As a leader, and as it relates to collective bargaining, I've always supported people's rights to organize. I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO, by the Communication Workers of America. I will continue to be an advocate for our workers and push forward and encourage them to organize.
Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Emmanuel Morel. I'm a former federal investigator. I used to run the U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division here locally for the federal government. From the fields of Homestead, Florida, picking tomatoes and beans, to graduating college, first high school in Miami Beach, college in Tennessee, and to becoming a leader of this U.S. government. I have been blessed, but at the same time, I'm always reminded of where I come from. American workers have been under the gun since January 20th, 1981. We workers have been decimated since the election and inauguration of Ronald Reagan. And you know what? It has gotten worse. And it's not going to get any better until we workers not only unite, but challenge the status quo. The establishment will never allow workers to do what must be done. But this I promise, I will vote to bring those things that have been outsourced, to bring them back into the county. This I promise.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Weinroth. I was formerly a member of the City Council in Boca Raton. I was there for 4 years. And during that period of time, we had several union contracts come up before us. And I believe that we were fair with both the SEIU and with the police and fire. We've always appreciated the ability to work with the collective bargaining units, and there was never any antagonism, never any desire to break the union or to interfere with the right to organize. I have been, again, in the government now for 4 years, and I've demonstrated my willingness to, again, encourage the employees of our municipal government to be in a collective bargaining unit, and was in my last elections endorsed by the police and the fire and the SEIU. Our county does have challenges. By the way, I'm running in District 4. That's the seat that's currently held by Stephen Abrams, who happens to be a Republican. And I think I'm in a very good position to turn that seat into a blue seat in November. So I think that we have great opportunity here. As mentioned before, we have a lot of issues. Affordable housing is certainly one of them. Mental health needs are another one. I think that's the reason we're having suicides and the murders and the issues that we had down in Parkland. There's a lot of issues, and I am looking forward to representing you on the county commission.
There's pressure on people when they become elected to toe a certain line with their group. We're SAU community improvement. We believe that the needs and desires of people who live in the community are sacrosanct, and that people who are elected to help, they have a sacred trust in ensuring that those voices are heard. So if you are elected to the office that you're seeking, do you agree with that? And what are you going to do to ensure that we're saying politics is politics, we're not naive, but how are you going to make sure that people in communities, that their agency is being heard and that there's going to be expressed in the policies you bring forward and what it should be?
I think you've got to live it. You've got to have the integrity to stand up for what's right. And I think I've done that. I'll give you a prime example. In 2003, SEIU was trying to organized the clerk of court and comptroller's office in West Palm Beach. I signed one of the cards. I'd always been pro-union. I signed the card even though I knew my immediate boss, the clerk, Dorothy Wilkin, was going to be furious. And sure enough, Dorothy called me into her office and asked me to publicly renounce the organizing effort. I refused. I said, Dorothy, you know, I will never publicly disagree with you, but I won't betray my values. I was fired 5 days later.
Even in this campaign, I am not accepting money from large corporations. And I know it takes money to run a campaign. I ran a congressional campaign, 3 of them. I'm not stupid. But I also know that it's very easy to put yourself in a compromising situation. Been there, you know, I know about that. So if I take money from the big corporations and jail homes and things of that nature, and I'm sitting on a dais, you can't tell me that I wouldn't feel obligated to vote their way when they came before the dais, because I would feel some kind of way. So to keep from even going there, I'm not even going to entertain that. I'm more concerned about the people that work in the community, to make sure that they get heard, to make sure that they are represented.
So special interest, and you guys are absolutely right, they are, I mean, it exists in our political system. However, it takes somebody who is able to stand up to them and express themselves, and that's what I have done consistently. I've had the opportunity to be retired for a few years. I've committed myself to our community, whether it's volunteering to help the developmentally disabled and being their voice, whether it's volunteering and starting a nonprofit to be the voice of our children in foster care and making sure their voices are heard. I have a record of standing up and representing the people. I have been, I serve on a number of Democratic clubs in our part of our community, and I think what's clear is I'm willing to sit down and listen to everybody. I will bring people together and let's make a decision in the best interest of the people, not the corporations.
I can't let you get away with it, and I won't. You are part of the establishment. Mr. Weiss, you are part of the establishment, and you've always been. The establishment screws the workers every time. And I refuse to go along with anyone who will stick it to the American workers. Look, I've been fighting to have a wage theft ordinance passed in this county for years, even when I ran the U.S. government locally, and they would not. You know why? Because they're wusses. They are wusses. They know who puts butter on their bread. They will not do it. I will bring it to pass, I promise you that.
And what's going to happen when I'm elected in November is, you've heard the open door policy. It sounds like, you know, it's just a term. But I intend to make sure that everybody who wants to come in to see me, be it developer, be it union representative, be it employee, anybody will have access to me, and we will have one-on-one conversations about what is important to them. And beyond that, I will make sure that I'm getting out into the community, having community outreach, having opportunities to have meetings with community groups, and make sure that I understand the pulse of what's going on in our county, not just in District 4, but the entire county, so I can represent you effectively. Thank you.
My name is Karen. I've worked in the counties, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Orange County too. But as a nurse, I've served community in many different ways, as well as working for Head Start and children in compromised situations. There are estimated to be nearly 60 million Americans, 1 in 4 adults, with a criminal history that may show up on a routine background check report. Although most of these individuals have completed probation or parole, paid their debt to society, and many may have never even been convicted of a crime. An increasing number of employers are using background checks to pre-screen applicants, creating an unnecessary automatic barrier to to employment for qualified applicants. Ban the box policies seek to remove these barriers to employment that are preventing people from living and working productively. Enacting such an ordinance will allow qualified Palm Beach County residents with a criminal history to more fairly compete for employment, increases public safety for decreasing recidivism, provide an economic benefit to local economies, and fosters great family support as well. If elected, how will you ensure returning citizens are fully integrated back into the workforce and into our communities?
Myself have been falsely accused, was thrown out, I don't have a record. But it's not hard to get falsely accused and go to jail for something you didn't do. I'm a living example of that. So I was one of the major people that worked on gathering signatures so that Amendment 4 can be on the ballot. Just for the people that were accused and were convicted, so they can get the chance to vote. So I don't think the box should be there. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm in the communities, I'm working with people on a daily basis. Some of these people have gone to jail for no reason whatsoever, or even when they were younger, and now they're 40 or 50 years old and they still can't get a job. Well, then how do you expect for them to be productive citizens if you're gonna hold that against them for the rest of their lives? It doesn't need to be that way. And if I'm elected, I promise to do everything that I can to make sure that it doesn't continue.
Thank you, Karen. Excellent question. And as somebody, I have a family member who has spent a good deal of time incarcerated, coming in and out of prison. So I personally know the difficulty of somebody returning and trying to find a job. I support banning the box. I think people need to be heard and find out who the best candidate is. And at the appropriate time, if there is a needed background check because of dealings with children or whatever, security issues, that's when it should come. But not before somebody has an opportunity to present themselves. So I would vote for banning the box in the county. I recently attended a summit with our Palm Beach County leadership, and there it was brought up, and we were bringing businesses together. And I can assure you, I will reach out to our business community, bring them in and hold a round table with them and show them we need to give these people an opportunity. There's a shortage of employees now in our community. These people need to get jobs, they need to get training, they need to get hired.
I am against the box, have always been. I will support bringing in any and everyone who has been denied jobs in the county or anywhere else to walk into my office. The way I will run my office is anyone who has been denied and who has been wronged by any employer in Palm Beach County to come into my office. If you have not been paid the minimum wage, come into my office. If you have not been paid the overtime, come into my office. If you have been denied Family and Medical Leave Act, come into my office, because I intend to deal with these issues. I know how to deal with these issues.
It's criminal that people who have paid their debt to society cannot have their civil rights restored without having to go through all sorts of machinations to go through the governor, who very infrequently restores civil rights. If someone's paid their debt to society, they need to be given every opportunity to be, just like you and I, able to vote, able to hold office, able to be returned to our community, able to get a job. I am, like everybody else up here, in favor of banning the box. On the questionnaire that your union gave us, I said I fully support. And that's certainly my position, and I'm sure that I speak for the rest of us. None of us want to see someone have that as a barrier to their ability to get employed. We want everybody to have an equal opportunity.
I'm the only one up here that actually works with the county, so I'm very proud to tell you, we banned the box for Palm Beach County government. Now, if you wanted an ordinance to ban the box, I would be fully supportive of it, but I'll tell you what'll happen. the same thing that's happened on a myriad of other issues, the state legislature will preempt us. They preempt, it used to be illegal to have firearms in county parks. The state preempted us. A variety of things, but yes, I would support it. I think it's the right thing to do, and Amendment 4 is very important. In fact, I'm working with groups that the other amendments are all put on by people that I don't share our values, so we're telling people, vote for 4 and vote against the rest.
I'm talking about economical justice. More than 6 years have passed since the Great Recession, and many Palm Beach County residents are lost a great amount of wealth. Historically, Palm Beach County government has done very little to ensure that Black and brown communities gain fair access and support to minority or own businesses to pursue related contracts. To our knowledge, has a related to construction, not one library, fire stations, parks, and other county facilities has been designed or built by a Black-owned firm in its 100 years history. Additionally, Palm Beach County governments have done little to ensure that the Black and brown communities have been initially that are publicly subsidized, such as creating jobs and job training opportunities, environmental protection, minimizing local businesses, displacement, and great workforce housing. Will you support efforts to clear standards into laws so that public fundings for economical development and public contracts are directed to your responsible companies that are held accountable for local job creation, and the role will you play in ending discrimination in public county systems?
I support equality and fairness for all contracts, and I will uphold the law in making sure that those contracts are given out on a fair basis. I believe that as it relates to past history, I think the studies have proven that there is an issue in this county, and we are now in the process of mitigating for that, and I support the efforts of our current county commission to do that. I believe in terms of, as we talk about affordable housing, I have really a 4-point plan on how we achieve affordable housing in a way that's mass and scalable way in capacity, because we hear about drops in the bucket basically. So we need to have, and I get into my plan, but as it relates to revitalization, I 100% support working not only with the county, but with our municipalities, where so many of our people live, in revitalizing our neighborhoods and their schools, so that they're neighborhoods that people want and are comfortable to live in.
My brother, the answer to your question is yes, yes, yes. I've been saying for years that Palm Beach County is extremely segregated. It reminds me of Miami in the 1970s. Unfortunately, it took the Arthur McDuffie riot in 1980 to start bringing changes in Miami-Dade. I pray that we don't see that in Palm Beach County. But this is something that has been brewing in Palm Beach County, and I've been saying it for years. Yes, I want to bring Porter back. Yes, I want to fight for people of color, because people of color have been left out. We are only here, you and I are only here to pay taxes, but we don't exist. And I will bring a change about. Thank you.
Mr. Santiago, thank you for your question. And I think that it's important that we stress that equality in the ability to get a job or to get a contract in this county is paramount to what we will do on the county commission. But more important than that, we need to make sure that we are creating a skilled workforce that is going to be able to step up and do those jobs, whether they be architects, whether they be construction people, whether they be electrical workers, whatever we need. Right now, frankly, our school system is not preparing the skilled workforce that we need to be able to step up to these jobs. We need to be able, and we have a lot of companies moving down here, we have economic opportunity, and it needs to be shared by all of our residents. And it's our responsibility to train them so they can step up and do those jobs effectively.
I'll try to answer your three questions. One, on the local preference. I'm on the Fort Palm Beach Commission now, and that's the question we always have. It's very difficult because of federal laws, because of the Commerce Clause. Palm Beach County has tried to do it many times. The only thing we're allowed to do is we can give like a 5% preference, but it's very difficult, and it's not really within the purview of the local government. On affordable housing, I think there's a huge thing we should do right away, but I don't think anybody's talking about it. Right now, we have a requirement for builders to build a percentage of their homes as affordable housing. But guess what? They can opt out. They can buy those units. How much do they buy those units for? $85,000. The average house in Palm Beach County sells for $350,000. Only a fool would build affordable housing if they can make that kind of profit. And the last thing, the county just took a huge step forward in adopting a disparity program of the Solid Waste Authority, and it will be race-based.
Mrs. Santiago, thank you for your question. I believe in, I'm just so irritated right now. I don't know what to do. Palm Beach County has always been behind the ball when it comes to making sure that minorities, small businesses, and women-owned businesses get their fair share. It is what it is. When you put people in charge of making decisions, they will make decisions based on how they feel. It's just that simple. And it is true for the local preference. There is only so much that we can do. But we need to do more of what we need to do. Affordable housing, I agree. Please get rid of it. Please. Whoever gets elected, get rid of the loophole. Because I agree with, if I can make millions, why would I build affordable housing? It doesn't make any sense. So affordable housing is not $350,000, $400,000 for a house. If I'm working as a maid or as a nurse or as a teacher, I work with people that have those jobs. They can't afford it. I can't either. And then number three, Lord have mercy. I know that's a big one because I'm black and I own a business and I'm a woman. And I saw what happened with the contract and it being race-based. I don't want you hiring me because I'm black. But you hire me because I'm qualified.
What specific steps will you take to make sure that nursing home owners are accountable for safety for the resident and quality job for the caregiver? What will you do to ensure safe staffing and healthcare coverage for her nursing home workers like Consulate Healthcare, which is where I work? Seniors died in a nursing home in Alderwood last year after Hurricane Irma. And what will you do to ensure safe staffing and healthcare coverage for our nursing home workers like Consulate Healthcare?
Consulate, there is a name I haven't heard in a while. I investigated them and had them pay a good bit of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars to workers in back wages. Yes, I investigated them some years ago. But this we know. The system is set up for the very top. It's not set up for the bottom. It's set up for those at the top to make the most and for those at the bottom to get the least. It's the American system. But in this county, we can change it. And don't let anybody tell you that we cannot override, we cannot fight against Tallahassee and Washington. Laws are made to be broken. Dr. King had to break the law in order to bring out the objectives that were needed. And that's what I will do. Thank you.
Of the regulation of the healthcare, especially the nursing homes and the ALS, is done at the state level. It doesn't mean that we are at the county level powerless to do anything. We have zoning regulations that we are able to use to be able to go in, inspect, and make sure that these facilities are safe for their residents. After the horrors of what happened in Hollywood, in Boca Raton, we passed an ordinance to make sure that they had backup generators in Boca Raton. Now, again, there has to be coordination between the municipalities, the county, the state, and the federal government. We have very able legislative representatives, both in the Senate and in the House here in Tallahassee and in DC. And we have to work with them to make sure that we get the effective legislation that we can then make sure that everybody is safe.
Health industry regulation, that really is the state purview. There really isn't anything the county can do directly, so we would be dependent on you. SEIU would have to tell us what legislation should be, what could be. Individual commissioners and even the board as a whole could get behind you and help and advocate for it and lobby our legislators in Tallahassee. But I don't believe, I know I certainly don't, and I don't believe anybody else up here today, we don't have the expertise to draft that. We would depend on you and your knowledge, and we would get behind you, and we would, like for instance, I'd be happy to meet with your state representative and see what we could do, but that really is a state issue, and we don't have any jurisdiction, I'm afraid.
So it is a state issue. There's three things in my mind that we can do. When I worked to get grant money to do the projects that I did, I got state, federal, and local grants. So if you establish relationships, even with the lobbyists that we have working on our behalf, and the legal representatives that we have in Tallahassee and in Washington, to let them know that this is what we think should be done, or what our citizens believe is not being done because we're communicating with the citizens. That needs to happen. Then things can get done. Number two, we need for everybody to vote. If you don't like what Tallahassee is doing, if you don't like what Washington is doing, then you need to encourage people to vote.
Yes.
So that you can put the people in those offices that will care about the people in those nursing homes. Not only the people that are the residents, but the workers. You have that control. We all do. And then number three, we need to inspect more. We need to make sure that those nursing homes, those facilities, and those workers are being treated fairly. And then if they're not, speak up for them.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown, for that question, and thank you for your work in our vulnerable senior population. Very much appreciate that. I have a friend who's 92 years old. I've been with him in some of these facilities, and what I can tell you I would be willing to do, or I will do if I'm elected, is I will go out and visit these locations. But I would expect that you'll let me know that these need to be inspected, and I would be happy to go out and see for myself, and then publicize that information to the media or whoever else will listen. I have a wonderful relationship working with our legislators, and I would be happy to lobby them on everybody's behalf to change the rules, change those regulations to make these better facilities. You know, I think when we're talking about people who can't speak for themselves, it's up to all of us to come together and to be that voice and to be that representative, and I will do that for them. I have a track record of doing it for people already.
There's this thing about electeds, because we understand people get elected on each level. There's also this thing about power, and there's also this thing about creating a demand on the local level. So it is easy, and it happens all the time, that if you are a state rep to say, you know what, it's not my curfew on the state rep, I will be doing it. Or if you are a school board member, you say that, I'm a school board member, I only deal with school board issues. But what we know is that in our communities, these things are interconnected. And there's a difference between, being a legislator, even being elected, and being a leader. So I'm going to ask the same question, but I'm going to ask to the spirit of the question. And the spirit of the question is understanding that you are constrained by your particular role if you're elected to the county commission. But what we also do know is that when county commissioners want to make something happen, even the spirit of it, they can help you to tip of the spirit that allows the thing to open up. So as someone who's going to be leading in that arena, within the purview that you do have, how do you do that?
I think we need a group like SEIU to come forward with proposals, and then what we need to do is bring our state legislators who do have the power to a public forum with county commissioners and build support for those changes. I mean, all of us have, well, some of you are kind of young, but all of us have relatives who are getting to that age where they need those services. And we all want them to be well cared for. So I don't think there's an issue. I mean, if we bring the people together and we get the publicity and we make proposals which are reasonable and will protect seniors, I think we can implement changes. But the county commission in and of itself can't. We have to have that broader coalition.
As a volunteer in the communities that I work in, working with kids and working with seniors, working with domestic violence victims, because I am a survivor. It is not always a popular thing to be, is to be the leader who will stand up for right. But I believe in doing that. I've been shot down before for it. I'll continue to be shot down. If something is wrong, that needs to be brought to the forefront. And again, if you have the ability to develop the relationships and be that person that dares to go and talk to that state rep or that federal rep and stand up for what is right and what the citizens want, then if you have that office and you have that power, then use it. Don't be afraid to do so, and I won't be afraid. Nothing frightens me.
I think the way you accomplish this, number one, you shine the bright light onto whatever the issue is, and you bring it to the attention of the public. The other thing I would do is to collaborate with everybody and anybody that I think that can help move something forward. And that's what I've done. When I find something that's wrong, I work to right it. And I will bring together people from a wide range of our community to get something done. And to me, that's what it's about. It's about getting something done. And whether it's advocating for what needs to happen, for a rule that you see that needs to be put in place, then you stand up, you hold it up to people, and you say, this is what we need to do, let's make it happen. And together, that's how we get things done, and that's how we change the direction in this country and our community.
As a county commissioner, I intend to lead, not be led. I intend to lead Tallahassee and Washington, not be led by them. We can take actions. Don't sit here and say you cannot. Yes, you can. The question is, are you looking for a job, or are you simply looking for your name? My goal is, I'm not looking for a job. I'm telling you right now, I'm retired, I'm not looking for a job. I am looking to make changes in people's lives. Don't tell me you cannot fight for people down here because you have to listen to Tallahassee. No sir, no ma'am. I will fight for those down here, bring a coalition and bring changes. Thank you so much.
There's no difference between the five of us and you. We've made the decision, we're trying to run for elected office. I've already served in elected office. But ultimately, we're all exactly the same. Nothing gives us any more power by being elected now. But by being in elected office, it gives us the opportunity to use our influence outside of our silos. So just because I was on the city council in Boca Raton and there is a school committee, didn't mean I shut my eyes to the issues that were involved in the fact that we needed more schools, we needed to upgrade them, we needed to deal with the security. So as an elected official, I had greater access to the officials on the school board and took advantage of that. When the gun violence happened in Parkland, I didn't shut my eyes and say, that's not my problem, that's a state issue. I participated with other parents to say, this had to stop. It says on your sign, we must serve in order to lead. I'll tell you, it is, we must lead if we're going to serve.
The fight for 15 movement has galvanized workers across the country who are working hard and struggling to get by every day. Thousands of workers, from fast food workers to child care teachers to home care providers, have joined strike and other actions to win $15 per hour and union right. The courage has helped focus the country on the crisis and underpay, underwork. If elected, Will you stand with workers in the fight for 15 who are demanding higher wages and union rights?
On the question of raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour, I said fully support. On the question of the wage theft ordinance providing enforcement, I said fully support. I am fully behind the promise that you should get every dollar that you're entitled to. I am fully behind the promise that you need to be paid a fair wage so that you can live in Palm Beach County, so that you can be a part of our community. If you're making minimum wage, it's hard to believe that you're going to be able to live in this county and enjoy all the benefits that we have for our community. It's important that everybody here pull together and that we all enjoy the benefits of Palm Beach County.
The things we're doing, we're setting ourselves up, $15 an hour, we get it passed. 5 years from now, we have to fight again. We need a mechanism to make it automatic, so that when inflation, takes away that buying power, that it automatically goes up. We shouldn't have to go to Tallahassee every 3-5 years to fight for justice, for economic justice. It should be automatic, and I would fully support it.
And it's not just $15 an hour that I support. It's not just those things. $15 an hour is not going to allow anybody in this county to live in Palm Beach County. Now, when your average rent is $1,500 to $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom house or apartment, let's be realistic. It should not be. I don't agree with fair wage. I believe in livable wage, probably because I'm living here. So I believe in livable wage. And livable wage to me means that I'm able to pay my rent, and I'm able to pay my lights and my water, and I manage to buy something to eat every now and then. That's what I believe in, and that's what I support.
I support the $15 minimum wage. I also support making sure everybody does receive their pay that they're entitled to, and oppose the people doing that. But I want to take us a step further. It's not enough, as my colleague said, and my opponent, that $15 is okay. We need to get our workers trained, and we need to improve their skills so that they're making much more than minimum wage or $15 an hour. That's not enough. And the only way we do that is by increasing their skills. And so it's going to be incumbent upon us to work with our school, work with our community college, our state college, to get that training, work with our unions, work with our businesses, and bring everybody together. Because if we don't, we've got to pull everybody up out, because quite frankly, that's still poverty. And we can't have people living in poverty in our community. We're better than that. People deserve better.
As an accountant, $15 won't even make it in Palm Beach County. I've done up to 16. Why? Because I've done the math. Just to break even, to have a decent place to live with your children, you need $16 an hour in Palm Beach County. But I want it, at the same time, it's got to be tied to the COLA, the cost of living allowance. It has to be tied to the COLA, so 5 years from now, we don't come back doing the same thing. So it's got to be tied to the COLA, the cost of living allowance, so people will always be able to break even. Because let's face it, we are not asking to make, to have money to save. We're just asking to be able to breathe.
Thank you. Not how you feel about community wealth, but as a county official, as a county commissioner, how would you lead and how would you propose incentivizing building community wealth and opportunities to build wealth domestically that can stay there and grow?
I'll take it.
Working in the greater Northwest neighborhood of West Palm Beach. And I work with the CRA. And I know for a fact that that neighborhood was once prominent and self-sufficient. And it had the clinics, and it had the doctor's offices, and those things that were necessary to make a community work. That's what we need more of. What is Delray doing that's right? What is Boca doing that's right? Why can't we copy that in other neighborhoods? I have people that were born and raised in the greater Northwest neighborhood who did go to college. They're nurses and they're doctors, and they moved away because the neighborhood is no longer safe. The majority of the people that live there are renters, they're not homeowners. If you increase the home ownership, the people become more responsible for the home, for the neighborhood and stuff.
Well, this is a very difficult question. First, I'd like to compliment SEIU. You're one of the few organizations, labor or otherwise, that is really addressing this issue. So the first thing I would do is call a good friend of mine who used to work for SEIU, Alex Ring, and I would say, Alex, come help me work on this problem. I think, unfortunately, and one of the reasons it's such a difficult problem to address is, I think, everybody up here was correct. Education, training, what does it take? It takes money. And in order to do that, we have to invest in our people. We have to have the political will to invest in our people. That's right. I would be lying to you if I told you I thought the county commission has it. County commission doesn't want to raise taxes. City of Boca doesn't want to raise taxes. It'd be very difficult, but I would tell you I'd be committed to it, and I appreciate SEIU. I wish you could talk to your brothers at the AFL-CIO and educate them a little bit. I'll talk to Pat.
If you are elected to the county commission, would you encourage the school board to put the trades back into the school that we don't have now? At one time, school board had South Tech, they had North Tech, they had West Tech. But right now we have no tech. We have the tech high schools, but that's limited to the kids that are going there. They don't have it so that the ones that are going to the regular schools can go there after school or in the evenings to take these classes. And that's important because a lot of people do not want all the student loans after going to high school to have to pay back the rest of their lives. So why not put the trades back into school? When I'm going back to 1960. When I was a young adult working in the school system, when they had cosmetology at Carver High School. They had the DCT programs where the young men would have, you know, young people, women and men, they could get the training, go to school a half day and work a half day. What do they have now? Nothing.
So this is a yes and no question. And so don't elaborate. Starting with you, yes or no?
Absolutely, positively, yes.
Emmanuel?
Yes.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Trust between law enforcement agencies and the police that they serve and the police that they protect and serve is essential in a democracy. It is key to the stability of our community, the integrity of our criminal justice system, and the safe and effective delivery of policing services. The outcry stemming from Corey Jones's death brought Palm Beach County citizens into the streets, on social media, and other venues to say in a very clear voice that they have reached a breaking point with the entire law enforcement infrastructure. Palm Beach County citizens are demanding accountability and real and lasting change. Here's the question, and the B question. If elected, what changes will you enact to ensure police accountability? And can you genuinely do so by taking money from the PBA?
Well, unfortunately, I gotta tell you what you don't want to hear. The county commission has no authority over the sheriff's office. The sheriff is an independently elected constitutional officer.
No, I'm sorry, could I?
Sure.
In your campaigning,
Yes.
by taking
Right.
money for your campaign.
Well, I haven't taken any money yet because I just filed yesterday. So, I haven't had that issue. So, but I understand the question, and I'm not real fond of the sheriff, and I happen to know he's not real fond of me, so I doubt that would happen. But other than taking money from the PBA, the county commission has no jurisdiction over how the sheriff operates his department. All the county does is they give him the money, which they have to do, and they can't even tell him how to spend it. They can't even say, you know, we want this money to be spent for this, for that. We can't do that. I mean, we could do it, but we can't follow through and force him to do it. He's totally independent. He answers directly to the voters.
No, I have not taken any money and I don't intend to. I said that before. I'm only taking money from citizens, $5, $3, whatever they give, so I don't have that issue. And while we have no control over the sheriff and what he does, it's just really strange to me that there can't be more communication with the person that's holding the position of being sheriff between him and the commissioners who's actually giving the money. I don't get it. If you're giving me money, millions, then I should be a little bit more responsive to what you say your citizens want. And that relationship needs to be developed. Maybe he's not supposed to be the sheriff because the relationship isn't there. Okay, I said it.
To answer your question, since I received an endorsement from the PBA, I can assure you that I would be open and fair-minded on any situation. I believe in order to have people be policed, they have to accept that, and the police have to work with those communities. And I have worked hard as I've been a volunteer with our local police department. I'm the president of the West Palm Beach Police Foundation, helping to raise money so that we have community activities to bring our citizens, our children, and our police officers together. People have to see each other as human beings. And as it relates to accountability, I believe in body cameras. I think we need that, have that insight into what happens in a situation, and I would support funding that so that every police officer wears a has a camera on them. So, and then I also adamantly oppose the stand your ground law, which has led to so many of these horrendous situations.
I believe in having a citizen board that will have as its purpose to investigate, to review the shootings, and they must have the authority to indict, recommend indictment to the state attorney. Let's face it, folks. The police system was not established to protect people like me. The police, they were established to protect the powerful. That's a fact. And we have to take control. And yes, I will fight these folks